like love, 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 and music. La la la, love, 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 and music. Love, love.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. I am Jay Lee. This is Jay Lee's Corner. This is my review for Teen Mom OG Season 7, Episode 30. I believe this was the season finale. And it was a good finale. It was time for a finale. It wasn't no more show left to do. So I'm happy it's a finale. I do wonder when the reunion coming on. I don't know if it's coming on next. I'm thinking it won't come on next Monday because next Monday is Christmas Eve. Even though, like, Love and Hip Hop coming on. So, I don't know. But, first thing first, if you have not done so already, please take a moment to subscribe to my channel and become a whole Jaybird. It's 3 o'clock in the morning, and my hand is on my hip because I'm tired. Okay? But I got this one to do, and then the other Teen Mom, I'm done. Do not forget to hit that notification bell to let you know when I have new videos up. Of course, shop my Teespring merchandise. The link is below. My PayPal, not my PayPal, girl. P.O. Box address is below. My email address is below. Follow me on Instagram. All that is below. Instagram name is J_Lee's_corner. And all that good stuff. So, with the addition of Cheyenne and Bristol and the taking away of Farrah, the season was interesting, but boring, but interesting, but boring. I don't think that has anything to do with Farrah not being on here. I also don't think it has anything to do with Bristol and Cheyenne being added. I think the show needs to be canceled. Like, there's not a lot. Not canceled, but I don't know. Just something. I like the show still, but I don't like the show still. So we see Cheyenne. Cheyenne is up first. Cheyenne and Cory kind of meet up, because she says she just wants to kind of make it known how, she wants him to admit they're more than just co-parents. There's something in the midst of them too. There's there are more feelings that they both have. So, they meet up, whatever. And he brings her flowers. He brings flowers for her and also flowers for Ryder. Because, I guess Cory's just trying to be, a user. And make her think he like her when he really don't. But he really does. And so, he tells her, honestly, I'm not ready to do more. I'm not in the place yet. I'm not there yet to be more with you. Or what he meant was, I don't want to stop having sex or having the option to have sex with other women based on me liking you. That's what he was saying, in my opinion. He tells her, don't wait for me to be ready. Go out and live your life, have fun or whatever, and do you, because I'm not there yet. While I respect him for telling her up front he ain't there yet, I also feel like, but you act like you may be there. But that's why he told her, don't wait for me to get there. Because even though on Monday I may act like I'm there, on Tuesday I'm not. So that's why I know I'm not there. But it is what it is. We see it's been about a year since he found out that he was the father. Because again, he did not find out that he was Ryder's father until she was like 4 months old or whatever. So they're having Cory's baby daddy anniversary party. I've never seen someone have a party to celebrate when someone found out they was a daddy. It's a surprise, the test came back and it's yours party. I'm just confused. Anyway, they're all there dressed up in little outfits or whatever, little pajama weird sets or whatnot. Her family's there, some of his people there too. And, Cheyenne gets up and do a whole little speech about how happy she is that how people ask her, how is he so implemented into her family, not just within her and Ryder, but her family itself. And she brings up how how great of a person he is, how great of a dad he is, and how when he found out that he was Ryder's father and she was going through the different hospital stuff, 'cause they found out because the daughter has like some kind of little disorder, and she's like he was just there, he was there, and she was crying. It's like he doesn't realize how much he helped me and how much pain or uh guilt and different things she was feeling based on her daughter being sick, and how hard it was for her to like be doing that alone. And then here he came and he helped her feel better. And she's like, you think that you came here, you met, you did things for Ryder, but you also did things for me, and I just appreciate you. And she was all crying. Everybody it was lovely. It was a lovely little weird ass you the daddy party, but everybody cried. And then the next day, she says how she was riding home or whatever, talking to her friend on the phone, and saying like after Cory's "You the Daddy" party, they went back and had some drinks or whatever, and they ended up having sex. And she says it wasn't the whole drunken sex 2 minute session they had when she got pregnant with the baby. It was different. It was better, and I like it like this. Girl, girl, girl. The fact that the season started, or people thinking he was fucking Cory, and it ended with you fucking Cory. You could have fucked him in season one. I mean, episode one. I'm just saying, and that's all it was. Her admitting that her and Cory had sex. That was in her story. Maci and Taylor. It's Halloween time there. It's Halloween time. So, of course, they're all dressed up or whatever. Every year when they do Halloween, they always have invited Ryan. It's never quite went well because Ryan always ends up either not coming or coming too later. This is always some bullshit afoot, okay? Maci and Taylor and all them, they were dressed as like the Scooby-Doo gang, so, all of them or whatever. And they invited Ryan's family. So his mom, his dad, even Mackenzie, who y'all know I can't stand, okay? Can't stand her. And I'm like, well, no one tripped her, but I guess you can't trip her because she's had a baby. But, I mean, she was there. Wasn't any issues or whatever. And no one got punched in the face. And Mackenzie, wasn't out here lying and shucking and jiving to protect Ryan from being the drug addict that he was. Because the reason people hated or disliked Mackenzie so much was because she was so defensive of Ryan and blaming Maci when Ryan was the clear issue. So people's disdain for Mackenzie is how blindly she was willing to blame someone else for Ryan's fuck ups. And so, I mean, she was there with her baby and she didn't say nothing. So, no one wanted to punch her in the throat. So we do see Maci and Ryan later on discussing Maci and Taylor discussing Ryan coming home. They're both happy he did the whole 90 days. And I was eating some peanuts and I think like a little peanut kernel. A little peanut stuck in my throat. Anyway, both Maci and Taylor are happy that Ryan, one, went to rehab. Two, that he stayed the whole 90 days. Before he had stayed maybe 10 days. It was some little. He didn't stay the whole time or whatever. So he stayed the whole time. So he hopefully was there long enough to understand how bad it was and got the proper help. Because 90 days, 3 months, that is enough time for a person to get clean. Sometimes them little 30-day things don't really work. Sometimes little 90 days, 3 months is a good enough time for you to be clean and sober and understand your fuck ups. When you are in rehab for like 10 days and then you get out and you're still on medication stuff, that don't really work. And you're not, it was just different last time. They both said how they support him in getting better because they do want him to be able to get Bentley on his own. Excuse me. They don't want him to always have to only get Bentley through his parents. They really want him to be better. So that was a good thing. I just drank too much water. We then see Jen and Larry talking with Maci and Taylor. And, they're just, talking, chit-chatting and whatever. And, she asked how Ryan is doing and everything. And they're like, he's doing really good. He's doing better than expected. But, still taking things day by day. And then Jen brings up how, he wants to talk to you. And she was like, okay. And she's like, and Jen was crying. Eventually Larry started crying. And Larry crying took me out Okay, because it wasn't that like tearful cry. It was that I want to break down and cry because my son is on drugs and we've been through so much bullshit and I'm in so much pain. But I'm a grown man who can't really cry, but I'm breaking down crying. Like he was crying, but it was like it was that breakdown. Oh, it was so crazy. Anyway, Jennison, how Ryan does want to talk to you. He wants to apologize to you for things he's done because he's at a point where he realized what he's done. You know what I'm saying? He realized, and I'm like, that's what he need. And Maci just look relieved because they've never said how Ryan wanted to apologize for Maci for what he's put her through. Because even though, and that doesn't mean that Macy's perfect. It does not mean that everything Macy has done maybe not has had a tinge of I don't want to deal with it to it, but it means he realized she isn't the enemy, and he realized he's done things to make her do whatever it is she does to him, and she does it to protect Ben because he was all drug addict. You know what I'm saying? So Macy was, teary-eyed too or whatever. They bring up how Ryan said that he feels like an uncle to Bentley and not Bentley's father. Jen was crying, saying how Ryan still, has issues with her because he feels like mom and dad took over his role as father, even though he also understands it was because of his own actions. But he still feels like they stepped in so much that he had to step back, which made him feel like an uncle. And I'm like, hell, more like a brother to Bentley. True beat all tea, no shade. But she was crying, thing like saying we just stepped forward because he didn't, but that also caused issues, which made Larry then say, the fight we had was tough. We both said things to hurt each other. And, he's like, I said the worst things to him. I said the worst things to try to hurt him to his core. And he did the same thing to me. And he says, and Brian still feels that. And at this point, he crying. And like, he's crying. He's trying to cry through. He's trying to talk to breaking down crying. He's like, Ryan does it. And I'm like, oh, Larry. Oh, it made me shed a tear. Oh, it was so sad. Because he would have said as a father, I didn't want to see my son be like that. But I had to get deep down in him and make him feel like crap because he needed that. But at the same time, I may have went too far because my son still in one way or the other has a feeling about that, and maybe what I said is still in his mind in some sort of way. So it's just kind of hard. He like, so we still, getting through things. Of, like I still feel things he said about me. It was just, oh, it was so sad. You know what I'm saying? Macy says how Ryan did things. No, what she said was Ryan still has to realize that he made these things happen. She didn't want it to be like, oh, well, he's upset with his dad because of what his dad said. His parents stepped in too far. She didn't want him to kind of put that, but she said, he just needs to understand that he made these things happen. However, I now realize it was the addict in him that made him be this way. You know what I'm saying? Or be that way. So it was that whole thing. Anyway, she tells Jen Larry, and she, shed a tear too. I love you all. I love y'all. I will always love y'all. I'll even always love Ryan because, what I'm saying, he's been his father. She's like, and that will never change. And even though some people may see issue with her saying she'll always love Ryan, you should always love the other parent of your child because that's your parent's child. It doesn't mean that love is any kind of affectionate, I want to be with you love. It just means I have a love of family with y'all. And that will never change, even though we go through all this bullshit that Ryan caused. Like, even the rift between her and Jen and Larry was because of Ryan. The rift between her and Mackenzie was because of Ryan. Ryan caused a lot of the muck in that. And she just wants him to be able to recognize that, but she also recognized that was the addict in him. So I think that's a big step. And she also brings up how she's going to talk to her lawyer, but she says she'll make sure that it's okay for her and Ryan to talk, despite her having that restraining order. So we see that whole thing. Kate and Tyler. the house is taking longer than expected, so they're frustrated about that, because the house needs this and it needs that and it's all these, but that's what happens when you're building a house. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer than you expect. So, we see that whole part, but we also see that Amber is having a hard time, so Kate leaves to go visit Amber. Cool. Now, while she's away, we see Tyler meet with his mom and his mom's husband, and what I'm saying, he just brings up how the separation for them is for both of them. It's not just for him. It's gonna help them be able to focus on themselves and be better people, um, for each other. He brings up how, I asked her like what aggravates her about me. Like in therapy, we asked her that, and she said, well, he leaves his clothes on the floor in the bathroom or whatever. They're like, what? You do that really? He said, well, yeah, when I take a shower, I take my clothes off and I don't pick them up immediately after I get out the shower. But hell, I don't either. Because, you get in the shower, you get out the shower, you then go lay around and you air dry. Okay, because air dry is the best. And then when you air dry, you put your panties on, your bra, you get dressed. Then I go pick up my clothes and put them in my hamper. That's what I do. You know what I'm saying? But it don't sit longer than the time of me getting dressed. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't leave the house and my clothes is on my bathroom floor. Like that doesn't happen. But he was like, when she said that was it, I thought, that's crazy. Like I live with me. He said, I do things that aggravate me, so how can she live with me and say the most thing that aggravates her about me is that he like, I don't think it has to be more. Mom then said, she was trying to spare your feelings. She said, well, that's the point. He said, that's the point. She shouldn't be doing that. Like the point of going to counseling for marriage counseling is to get to the root of things. We can't do that if you're trying to spare my feelings. You're avoiding the issue, and that's the problem. Okay, so what I'm saying. He's like, that's just not how it works. We'll see that whole thing. So when Kate gets home, Tyler hasn't moved into the new house yet. And so she's upset, like, oh, it's just taking too long. I want you to get moved in because as soon as you move in, we can start our separation and then be done with it. So Kate wants him to hurry up and move because Kate feels like 30 days and we're back together. That's what Kate feels. I feel like, nah. I don't think they're going to be back together at 30 days. I think it's, I just, not that I think they're gonna stay separated, but I think it may be like 35 days. It may be 40 days. It may be things that they have figured out that they need to still work on and be separate, but still working on their marriage. And I feel like Kate just feels like once we hit 30 days, we're going to be back together and it's going to be either like it was before, a little bit better, but I just want to get it over with. And I feel like Tyler, like, I do too, but the house has to be fixed. I said before, I would have just went and stayed at the hotel. But I get you also don't want to waste money when you have two houses. So I get it completely all the way around. But I'm like, hell, don't y'all have the other house that y'all was renting to your dad and your sister? Live at, what I'm saying? There's other places he can live besides waiting on that house to be built or to be finished. But I don't know the situation. I just know what TV show us. And so his thing isn't that he wants to hold it off because he said we may have to push it out like another week. Well, I want to, I don't want that. I want to start this thing, get it over with or whatever, and be back to be the family. And he's like, and she's, because it puts pressure on me, it puts stress on me, it puts stress on the baby, it puts stress on Nova, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, you don't even care. He's like, well, no, I care. He's like, well, I care, but I don't care. He's like, I can't fix the house. You know what I'm saying? I can't make them finish the house sooner because, you know what I'm saying, it is what it is. And then I feel like Tyler was just trying to say, I want to start it too, but the stress of this new house having to be finished isn't my fault. You know what I'm saying? It's not that I'm trying to purposely not move. The house ain't ready. That whole thing. But he gets upset because he's responding to her in his calm way, a little bit passive aggressive, but you can tell he feels some kind of way, but he's not saying much because he does not want to argue. And it's just like, it's not that I don't care. And they said, well, you don't think it's so hostile. I was like, you're not even hostile. And then he was like, you know what? It's just so crazy. Like when I tried to do anything, the whole world blows up. You know what I'm saying? But you can kind of just go and do what you need to do, and don't even talk to anybody about it. You know what I'm saying? And it's fine. Meaning, you left us twice for months on end because that was your decision to do, and I just had to live with it. I had to deal with it. However, you're trying to rush me to do what I want to do because it makes you feel uncomfortable. And he was pissed off. And then she said, you know what, you're using my treatment against me. And she was crying. He, you know what, I'm moving. And he walked in the house, and I'm like, Catelynn, Kate, no, you should not have done that. I feel like Kate knows. I feel like Kate knows what buttons to push with Tyler to make him want to back off. And not saying that she's using her own treatment against her husband, but in the way she is. I feel like Tyler has put up with a lot of shit with Kate. He has. And I do feel like sometimes she shits on him about it. I do feel like, and he has said on social media since then how, people saw this bullshit, how he knows that, he doesn't deserve Kate too, and how he really do love his family, whatever. But I feel like he does that so that Kate doesn't get as much hate from people if he just kind of dogs himself a little bit, and let that be that. But I love how this season he's just trying to get some peace, self-love, self-reflection, because he's been in this whirlwind of a dysfunction, and he needs some structure. And I feel like when Kate was gone, and he was on his own, he felt like he had structure. He was okay being separate from Kate. And when Kate came back is when he realized, damn, me not being around her made me feel better because I had peace of mind a little bit, and I was able to kind of get myself together a little bit. And I feel like that's why he suggested the separation. I really do. I really do. And I do think she has the right to say, well, we need to just start it and start waiting on it. But I also feel like she can't rush him because you left for like 6 months. You know what I'm saying? Like, he couldn't rush you to come home, so you shouldn't rush him to leave. So, we see that whole thing. Amber. Amber is having a hard time because his fans are saying mean things that are online, and it does not help her depression. And depression is nothing to play with. People do kill themselves over depression. People it can just spiral down a bad way. So I feel like this, and I don't want anyone to take offense to it. I feel like once you're at a point within your mental health struggle that you realize the show that you're doing is detrimental to your mental state and your mental state of being just non-suicidal, you should leave the show. Okay? You should leave the show. Not blame the show for your feelings, but leave the show because you realize that people who watch the show are assholes who will say anything to get a rise out of you. Let's say that. Because if you leave the show, fans won't be able to see you and comment about things. But if you stay on the show and you live your life in the public eye, fans are going to comment. They are. It doesn't mean it's right what they say, but that's literally just a part of being on TV shows or whatever. So, you know what I'm saying? We do see like fans calling her fat, which is crazy, you know what I'm saying? How her parenting is shitty or whatever. So they're seeing all these mean things that people deal with on a daily basis when they are in the public eye. Again, it's not right. It isn't. But you have one or two choices when you have that. You have to either ignore it or leave the show. Leave the show. There is no go between. There really is not. So we see her talking to her cousin, and she tells her cousin how, you know what I'm saying, her and Andrew are not as lovey-dovey as they used to be. She then says, one night, I was up just waiting for Andrew and the baby to go to bed so I could kill myself. And she said Andrew felt something was wrong, and he refused to go to bed because I wanted to kill myself. And the cousin like, I don't want you, the cousin's like, I can't, what? So she's crying or whatever. Amber says how it just does not feel good to be alive right now. Of course, the cousin is crying. She says people keep saying, why can't I do things for Leah? Why can't I do better for Leah? Why could I not be a better mom for Leah? But I was young and stupid. She says how only Catelynn can understand, what she feels. I feel two different ways about that as well. Amber was young and stupid when she had Leah. She was six. She was on 16 and pregnant. She absolutely, positively was young and stupid. However, as Amber got older, she still wasn't responsible for Leah, and there were still things that she knowingly did that took her away from her child. There were still times where she admittedly said she wasn't around. It was just it's you can only blame young and stupid as the reason for so long. Like I feel like once she got out of prison and she was clean and sober or whatever, that was your chance to start over and to no longer be young and stupid. You went to prison because you said you wanted to be better for your daughter. But you went to prison, came home, and it seems as if you still was not putting in as much as an effort as you could have. But that doesn't mean the people who say these mean things are right. Let me say that. So we do see Gary and Christina have a little bit of a conversation that they are aware that, Amber has been dealing with depression and suicidal thoughts or whatever. No, the depression based on social media stuff. And they like, it's a hard thing. 'Cause I'm like, you think people not on TV calling Gary fat? You know what I'm saying? Like, the first thing people come from, for anybody who's plus size, they call him fat. So I'm like, Amber isn't the only cast member from Teen Mom who gets horrible, horrible comments. And, I don't think Amber's comments and stuff is any worse than Ferris, any worse than Janelle's, any worse than Brianna's, the Javi, Kale. Okay, I feel like people on those shows, the Teen Mom shows, fans are ruthless. I've seen just ruthless comments on all of them. So my thing is Amber maybe shouldn't be on the show. Anyway, so we do see Catelynn comes to visit her and they're sitting around and talking. Amber says how I'm at my end, I'm at my lowest points, and I'm not living for myself right now. And Catelynn, like, there are places that you can go to get help. Like, you don't have to do this on your own. You have to know that there's help out there. And Amber says, well, I can't imagine leaving my child to go to therapy. What? I don't understand when a person will say, I'm so depressed I want to kill myself. And when someone says, you need to go to therapy, they then say, I can't imagine leaving my child. But if you kill yourself, you leave your child. So I'm like, I don't get how you have an issue when you know what you should do to go try to get help for it, but you don't want to go get help for it because you don't want to leave your child. But if you kill yourself, you will literally leave them forever. I'm just confused. Anyway, Kate goes home. So we know she went home, whatever. So we then see Amber talking to, I think, her cousin. I think it was her. No, it was Kate. It was Kate. So she said, social media, the hate makes me depressed or whatever. She then says, MTV ruined my name. It doesn't show me as a person. It shows me as a bad mom, having postpartum, struggling and crying, but, just all that, you know what I'm saying? It's true, but I'm over it. Amber is literally acting as if what she's showing them is MTV making shit up. Like, if you're going through postpartum, it's a reality show. If you're going through postpartum, that's your life right now. At one point, Amber, you were a bad mom. At one point, you were struggling and crying. The same as anyone else in America. You know what I'm saying? Like, that, it's no different. You know what I'm saying? It's just, I was confused when she then said, oh, it's all true, but I'm over it. How are you upset that what you show the camera is what they're showing? I was confused. So we then see how she later goes on Twitter saying how, you know what I'm saying, the show has caused her so much heartache, and she hopes everyone who has made money off her pain is happy, and that the show tries to show that she never sees Leah. And I feel like this. If the show showed that you never saw Leah, at every reunion you would bring it up. Every time they talk about her and Leah and her not being around as much, she'll say stuff like, I was on a show for 6 weeks in the summer, so that's why I didn't see her. Or, I was depressed after Matt, and I didn't want her to see me like that, and that's why I didn't. You know what I'm saying? And it's not, girl, no, you can't she's going through depression, so she's blaming things. It's all a part of that. But I feel like you can't blame MTV for your problems. Like, you can't. You've been on the show for 10 years. 10 years. 10 years. If MTV is a problem, why are you still there? Anyway, she then shows that she's quit the show and she refuses to film. So we then see that she calls the producers, two of the producers, and they're in a car. And so they answer the phone or whatever. And then she says to them, you know, say, y'all want a story that I don't want to give anymore. And it's depressing to be on the show. And I agree. It's depressing to be on the show. You do need to leave the show. However, you can't blame MTV for it. Like, you can't do that. That part is what I don't agree with. You know, the producers then say, you know, but there's so many positive things going on, like the new baby, the new relationship. Like, we want to focus on those things, but you're not giving us that. This is what you're giving us. This right here is what you're giving us. You know what I'm saying? He then says, hey, can we talk in person? I don't want to be on camera. Respect my decisions. She's yelling and shit. I don't even know what she was saying. And I guess she's done. Girl, girl, girl. I feel for Amber and her mental state and her depression and postpartum. That's so tough to go through, especially with assholes on social media saying things. However, you have to learn to block and ignore and block and ignore. You can't sit here and make excuses and say, you know, it's MTV's fault that I'm depressed. No, if you are that depressed, you need to leave the show and say, the fans, these crazy people in the world, that's what's making me leave the show. Don't blame the show. Don't blame editing. Don't say the show is showing you in a negative light. You're giving them the content that they show. Trust and believe. If you were with Leah every weekend, that's what they would show, because that's all they have. That's, you yourself say Leah don't even want to really hang out with you. So it's like, I don't know. Last is Bristol. Bristol goes to see a therapist to figure out how to talk to Dakota. It's a PTSD therapist. And so she's like, I need to know what to say or how to talk to him to not trigger his PTSD. But I thought to myself, why didn't you do this when he was married? Like, why did you not have you should have had a PTSD therapist helping you deal with your marriage beforehand, not afterhand. Anyway, you know, she brings up how Dakota will always try to leave her because he has this thing with loss, and how he always felt like she would leave him first. So to avoid the pain of her leaving him, he would consistently pack his bags and leave the house. Like, you know, you're gonna leave me, so I'm gonna leave you first. That's batshit crazy. I would say that. But the therapist then said his trigger is loss because he lost, you know, his people in, you know, war. So that's the thing. So he's probably doing that to protect himself. It's a part of the PTSD. He feels like you're going to leave him, so he can't handle that because it takes him back to what he lost over there, and that's a trigger for him. So the therapist just says, like, you know, when y'all are together, stay on topic, you know, make a plan, you know, plan on what not to discuss. Like, don't bring up certain things, like, you know what I'm saying, money, or don't say discouraging things about each other. You know, stay calm, talk in a calming voice. Like, don't be, you know, rude. Be a fucking human being, not a robot, girl. So she said, because otherwise you're going to trigger his PTSD. So they meet up. And Bristol doesn't listen to shit the doctor said, you know. She's like, you know, well, how can we, you know, like, not bug each other, whatever, that she asked them. And he says, well, the best way to not, like, bug me or whatever, or nag me, is like, just don't talk about, like, don't bring me up on social media like this. Don't talk about me at all. You know, she then says, well, I just want to, you know, how can I understand you more? He said, I don't want you. I don't want that. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to. You should have done that when we were married. I agree. You can't want to divorce me and then say, how can I get... No, that was supposed to be done beforehand. And I think Dakota's thing is he doesn't want a friendship with her. He wants this to be a co-parent. If it's not about our girls, we don't need to talk. So, you know, he says, like, I want you to be happy. Because she's like, I'm so happy about you gone or whatever. He says, me too. I haven't had either a panic attack or some kind of attack. I haven't had that, since you've been gone. So they're both happier separately. They both say that in one way or the other. He says, I want to be happy. Just leave me alone. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to have a friendship with you. You're a co-parent. Let's just only talk about the girls. I see his point, even though he's saying it with a raised tone. Bristol then goes, don't flatter yourself. You know what I'm saying? To think that I want to talk to you. I can see it in your eyes the same way you always have. You know what I'm saying? That's why I could not stay in the marriage. I was like, why? Bristol, why? I feel like there's a Bristol throws shots, and so does Dakota. However, if someone says to me, like, look, I don't want to be your friend, I want to co-parent with you. So if it's about the girls, we completely have to talk. But you don't need to get to know me. You don't need to understand me. Like, we don't need to do any of that. Like, you know what I'm saying? The girls are good. That's all that it should be. Because right now, they're in the muck of it. So they don't need to be consistently, like, trying to like be friends. It's just too messy right now, in my opinion. So, she then said, like, you stole from me, you have issues that you had before you married me, and it has nothing to do with me, and you need to work on yourself. I said, he had PTSD, bitch. That's the point, girl. You know what? He like, look, one of us here is being real, the other one is acting. You need to stop being a compulsive liar. I paid $2,500 in like childcare, whatever. Like, don't make it seem as if And it was crazy. She gets up and walks away saying, "This is crazy. I don't want to do this." But you wanted to talk to him, and again, they just don't need to talk. They just do not need to talk or nothing. I do still feel like Bristol purposely says things to upset him. I do think that. I also feel like there's nothing wrong with him saying, I don't want to be your friend. Let's just only talk about. They didn't need to meet up for that. She wants to meet with him so they can be like friendly. And he ain't there yet. Let him get, like, you don't have, girl, the fuck bye. I'm done. I'm over it. That was the season finale. I don't care too much if it comes back on next season. If it does, I'll review it. If not, it is. I know the new season of Teen Mom 2 starts in January, I believe. So I will be reviewing that. But I'm done, y'all. Peace.
He's like love, love, love.